Well, first and foremost, my apologies for the noise from the AC and the fans, but it is in the 80s and very humid today in Ohio, so yeah, you're just gonna have to deal with it. And, well, for everyone who's been here a while, hell's frozen over. Again. It's what, like, 5th time now, I think, here on this channel? So, said a while back, after first having my Navigator and having that for a while, that I probably would never bring another Shark product into this home. And I stuck to that for quite a while. But I got kind of intrigued with the new liftaways, have to admit. And I'm very much a canister person, even though a lot of times I end up using uprights mostly for convenience. I do really like canisters. So when I saw this in the Navigator lineup and the special colors that they had on QVC, I picked one up. I actually picked it up on eBay, paid way more than I probably should have for it because QVC didn't carry them anymore at the time that I purchased it. But this is the Navigator Powered Liftaway DLX. Now, special colors are gone, but Target now sells this in purple for, I think, $199, and Sam's Club sells it in like a red and blackish gray color for $249, I want to say, with a steam mop, and then they'll have a special every once in a while where they drop it to $199. So again, this one, I really like this color. Really wanted to get my hands on it. Did some searching, saw one come up on eBay from a seller who had them new still, and said, why not? We'll give it a try. So I'm gonna run this real quick. New carpeting, obviously. The old one was damaged a bit, so this rug came out, and then I'll explain a lot of the issues that I have with it. So here we go. Well, you'll have to excuse that little cut in power. I always forget that this isn't actually able to use the dedicated power circuit for AC, so when you have most vacuums that draw a decent bit of power plugged in and everything else on, along with the AC in here, it trips the breaker. Another reason why I love my Auric with 4 amps, because I can actually clean with the AC on. So, but that's not really the fault of the vacuum, so I shouldn't complain too much. Either way, here we go again. So, to start off with, I'm not really going to demo too much of the lift-away features, because there are a lot of videos that will show that. Or you can, go watch Shark's videos on that, or watch the QVC demos. There are a lot of different places that'll do a lot better of a job explaining what you can do with a lift-away. Or if you're researching this as a consumer, or you're a collector who watches my channel, you probably already know yourselves. So really, I'm going to get into the drawbacks and a lot of the issues that I have with this. The first being, it's pretty heavy in the hand, and I don't mean that in terms of handle weight, like a tandem air upright. The weight of it, with how bulky the body of these machines are just very uncomfortable, and it kind of makes the swivel steering that they have almost irrelevant, because it's just not all that pleasant to work with. And then when you take the machine off and use it in the lift-away mode, the powered lift-away mode, or the canister mode with the power nozzle, it swivels way too easily. It's almost annoyingly uncontrollable in that it goes in pretty much any direction that it really feels like. It's almost too nimble and maneuverable, if that makes sense. The swivel neck, it's almost like it doesn't have enough resistance on it to begin with. Now, one of my other big pet peeves, and this goes with all Sharks, since they've eliminated the original Navigator design with the 21 Cyclones, is the filters. Now you can see this is getting pretty dirty, and I can honestly count on one hand the amount of times that I've used this machine to clean my home. So while it does perform well, it's not going to stay performing well for long without quite a lot of filter maintenance. The next thing is, while this is actually a very large canister, it's not the nicest to empty, especially with where the filters are, so you always kind of get a back dusting of dirt onto this bottom flap, and then that consequently ends up in the filters, and these always end up looking filthy anyway because of the dirt on the filters. So it's just yet another thing to clean. Now, outside of those issues, the hose is, despite being a stretch hose, very short, not very maneuverable, and very annoying. If you have this in the canister caddy, which this comes with, but I don't have it out, I honestly think that tool is almost useless because the machine is so close behind you, it's constantly just kind of running into the back of your heels. It's like having a small puppy following you everywhere, and not in a good way. Now, again, outside of that, this is probably one of, if not the best performing mass market kind of department store vacuum you can really get your hands on, I would say. I've been very impressed with the way it performs and what it can do. Shark has stepped up a long way from the original Navigator I had. The brush rolls have gotten a lot stiffer, a lot more aggressive, and they do deep clean very well. So what I'll show you, this rug that I brought out is actually not brand new. It had been sitting around for a while, and it smelled pretty musty when it came out. So one of the first things, as much as I hate the stuff, it does work, and I was looking for a fairly quick solution because I didn't want to go to the effort of shampooing. So Arm & Hammer's Carpet Shake Carpet Fresh powder went on this carpet, and what I'll show you very quickly, I'll actually probably do this over on the hard floors so you can truly see it. Most of that very fine dust that you see is actually from that capture, or not capture, that carpet shake. Now, this machine, which is just such a disgrace, but we'll get into that in a later video, costs about, when new, without discounts, 2 to 3 times, depending on where you look at it, from what I remember, what that shark does. And again, it's gone over it multiple times, a lot slower and a lot more directions than I just did with that shark. And pet hair aside, all of this fine dirt is carpet fresh powder. Which also, side note, this is why you shouldn't use this stuff, because it is a pain to get out. My Oryx have also gone over that, both one that has a completely empty shakeout bag, which even the Oryx was able to pull up more than this, and my other Oryx as well. But it really is a very good performing vacuum. It's probably one of the best performing machines you'll find outside of higher end vacuum store type exclusive machines and door-to-door machines. It won't have the reliability, and the parts availability, as usual with Shark, is absolutely atrocious. But for $200 and the performance you can get, I don't know that I can really complain all that much. However, what I should say is most new Sharks, including, and I just got this one into work, so I'll have to do a little bit of research because I don't know the model number or the details, how much it costs, or who sells it. But I know for a fact they are producing a new classic Navigator non-powered lift-away with the normal old stretch hose, which is a lot more versatile in terms of cleaning if you don't care about the powered lift-away bit, that has a much better hose on it that comes with this exact power nozzle. So otherwise, it's going to perform pretty much the same. The other issue that I do have with this, and I think it comes in with a lot of machines, but I haven't noticed as much before, but am now, having used the Oryx, this thing throws off a lot of heat. And that kind of scares me in terms of motor longevity and the life of the machine. Now, the HEPA filter actually does have a decent seal, and it seems to be made out of decent quality media and everything like that. But this runs... Alright, my apologies for that cut. Batteries for this camera are getting pretty old at this point, and they tend to die unexpectedly. So, like I was saying, the overall heat that this thing throws off and how warm the motor runs really is kind of concerning for me in terms of long-term use. I mean, it'll get pretty roasting hot within about 15 minutes of use for me, and that's kind of alarming. It's one thing to say we have good filtration, that's why it gets warm. Miele's do that, but I mean, this is a whole nother level. And this machine, I would not say has the filtration of a Miele, especially after you've taken the canister off a few hundred times and put it back on. But outside of that, again, that's something I don't know that for $199, with how well it performs, is something that can really be complained about. It'll get in, under, and around most things, but I do have to say probably the best way to use it most of the time for most people is just as an upright like this. Outside of that, there's not too much special about it, and if you don't really need or won't end up using the powered lift-away, you're probably better off with one of the new Navigator lift-aways that are non-powered but use the same nozzle. Outside of that, its results really can't be argued with because it does a very, very good job. But how long it's going to last you and what your environmental impact is going to be from going through multiple Sharks every few years is a whole nother topic for you. Otherwise, I'm actually very impressed. Now, this machine, a lot of the components, when you pull them off, the canister especially, they're incredibly lightweight. Almost cheap feeling in terms of weight, but at the same time, I don't know how they managed to do that because all of the plastic really feels incredible in terms of quality and things like that. You only get 2 tools, although technically Shark would probably tell you it's 4 because they're combination tools. You get a Dyson-like dusting and crevice tool. This is, I think Shark still considers this a dusting tool. It's got pretty stiff bristles, and then when you pull it off, there are thread picker strips just like a normal old upholstery tool underneath. One of the biggest concerns reliability-wise that I have is all of these connections lock together with plastic on plastic. It's not like there's metal in here like Kenmore machines or anything like that. It's just straight up plastic on plastic. Now, that's not necessarily the worst thing. Miele does that, but I have a lot more faith in the strength and durability of Miele plastics versus Shark. But overall, I really have been impressed with the performance of this machine and the fact that it can pretty easily take down machines that are pretty far out of its price range and intended class. So, if you guys have any questions on this, feel free to give me a comment and I'll be more than happy to respond. And otherwise, I'll put links in the description to all of the machines that I've talked about. So, the versions of this that they're still selling, and I'll try and do a little bit of research and track down and see where and how much the non-powered lift-away version sells of the new Navigator with this power nozzle.